Sit down, shut up, and do this. Don't think, don't feel, don't be who you are. Be what we tell you to be. Look at things the way we tell you to look at them. Don't take in what you would naturally take in. We want certain answers from you. The textbook answer. You'll do what we tell you to do, or we will send you to the principal's office. We'll call your parents on you. Make you feel really embarrassed. Now, is that an environment you would want to go into? I would think not. And why? And don't tell me it's because it makes you angry, it offends you. I mean, be honest. Why would you not want to go into that environment? It would be because it is an attack on who you are. So your natural reaction is, hell no. I don't think so. I have more respect for myself than that. But we send our kids, don't we? We're so busy in the adult world, it's easy to forget what the kids have to go through. It's easy to forget what we went through in public school. Well, some people had an easier time than others, but not everyone has an easy time. Busy work. Yeah, I couldn't stand the busy work. I was a right side of the brain kid and the left side of the brain system. And I daydreamed and drew pictures all day. I couldn't stand it. I was philosophical, you know. Why are we here? What is this all about? Is life a dream? I was onto subjects that had me so amazed. They're such amazing subjects that these little busy work projects, doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over, I had no interest. So I had one teacher that wanted me put in a special school. And so my parents and my doctor were really offended and really angry by this, and so it was agreed that I would see a series of specialists, which I did. And there was a unanimous decision made between, I don't know how many of them there were, 5, 6 people. And these were child psychologists, but also people that studied me on other levels, different levels of myself. And the conclusion that they had was that I could have excelled ahead of the rest of my class, by doing less. They tried to explain that he's very smart, and if you try to explain something to him, he can do it. Like long division, for example. Show him how to do it, and he can do it. You don't have to get him to do the same thing over and over again. You do that, he feels overwhelmed with boredom. He won't do it. So just teach him how to do something. Let him do it in his own time, and he can actually learn more quickly and excel ahead of the rest of his class. The teachers' union said no. The teachers' union backed behind this one teacher, and so the school board went back, and they said, well, okay, we're not going to do this then. We're not going to. And my family doctor wrote a note to the head of the school board at that time, and he said, sir, we had a gentleman's agreement, and I will press legal charges if you go against it. So, against the wishes of the teachers, I was to be treated differently, and they did not want that. They thought all kids should be taught the same, and if you can't be, then you should be sent to a special school. So they treated me like I was a special kid. They taught me work that were 2 years behind me, quite the opposite of what these specialists were trying to explain. So they just supported this teacher. So year after year I had a teacher, one after another, who wouldn't look me in the eye. And they treated me like I was, special, and gave me work to do that was 2 years behind me. And my parents, if I would find this out, then there'd be another big deal. And I was just a child going through all this politics, and I couldn't stand it. So finally my parents asked me how it was at school. I lied, and I said, fine. I just was tired of all the malarkey, all the politics, I didn't understand it that well at that time. I was a little kid. And all that just because I was different. Just because I was different. The school will not bend for a kid who's different. And a lot of kids are different. A lot of kids are not left side of the brain, who like sitting in a row in this chair all day long, doing the same things over and over and over again. Some kids might like that. Some kids hate it to the deepest core of who they are. There's an automatic spiritual rejection to that. And as well, like I say, right side of the brain cannot stand that left side of the brain system. Yes, and always the textbook answer. I'll give you a good example for that. Okay, here's one that was given to us in grade 6. 5 passengers walk onto a bus. 5 more passengers come onto a bus. Half the passengers on the bus leave the bus. So how many people are on the bus? The answer is 6. Because you have 10, 5 leave, that leaves 5 plus the driver. The driver, and I knew this. And my answer was wrong. I was told I'm wrong. The correct answer is 5. I'm sitting at a desk trying to figure this out. 5. And that was one of those moments I remember because it really clarified how much I disagreed with the system. Everything. I just went back to drawing and daydreaming again. Right, fine, whatever. We were forced to learn French. You don't need to learn French in Canada, you know. Yeah, I mean, Quebec, there's a lot of French-speaking Canadians. French is the first language in Quebec. In Ontario, there are some areas, I'm told, that there are a lot of people who speak French. But the truth is that most of Canada is English-speaking, and even in areas that French is the first language, most people still can speak English. So when I was in grade 6, I had an argument with my French teacher. And she said, you have to learn French. And I said, why? And she said, well, what if you go to Quebec and you can't read any of the signs because they're in French? And I said, well, the signs look the same as they do here. And as for like the red lights and stuff, I mean, those lights are the same color in any language. And so she said, well, then what if you pick up a product off a shelf and you don't know what it is because it's in French? And I said, well, I'll turn it around and look on the other side. One side will be in French and one's in English. So I won the argument. There was perhaps a political reason, but there was no real reason why we had to learn French. It was not necessary. And I won that. The meat of history, yeah. You're taught facts and figures. Who went where, when, signed what treaty with what native tribe. So what? Do you remember any of that? No. No wonder we don't remember 99% what we learn, because 99% what we learn in school is BS. It's a waste of our time. None of those facts matter. What matters is what really happened. And you learn this by looking at what historians have uncovered. You know, really looking at what really happened, what really resulted, and who benefited. And that's how you learn, that's how you get the meat of history. That's how you really learn from history, and you're not taught that in school. No. That's a load of BS again. And everything's your fault. You can't pay attention, you've got ADD. You won't do schoolwork? Well, then you're handicapped. You need to go to a special school. Or you need glasses. You can't read. You know, yes, I was told I needed glasses when I was a kid. I didn't need glasses. Teachers are overwhelmed, too. We've all seen a group of adults unable to control one small child in a mall. Imagine having to control 20, 30 kids. I couldn't do it. In some schools, they have hundreds of kids. I mean, unbelievable. Isolation abuse, that's another subject I don't have time to go into. But some kids get isolated. I was isolated when I was in grade 1, forced to sit behind a bookshelf for long periods of time, away from the kids, and that hurt my social development. And I'm not making that up or exaggerating, but I don't have time to go into that. And there is alternative schooling, so this isn't necessary. There are lots of examples of schools where the averages are slightly above average. And these kids are doing just fine. Being able to be themselves, being able to play video games in school, go out in nature, you know, sit back on the grass and talk about history and stuff. So that's about all I have to say and all the time I have. Please check out the links in the sidebar. I believe that would be over here. I have some interesting playlists there you might want to take a look at on this subject. It's very important for me. And someday I want to see that a study is done looking at the negative effects of institutionalism on children. That doesn't take a lot of thinking to realize that it's not healthy.